to the County Council meeting of Monday, February 27th, 2023. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please remain standing while our Vice Chairman will do the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this invocation. Dear wise and loving God, we thank you for your many and abundant blessings. We thank you for life itself and for the measure of health given to us to fulfill our duties. We thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing serious responsibilities. We ask that we as a body promote peace, order, and justice, and that you graciously grant this assembled body the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. We ask to have a sense of the true needs of our citizens, to have a keen thirst for justice, to understand and to clearly see what is good, fitting, and appropriate. We ask to have the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement, and to have personal peace in our lives and joy in our tasks. And finally, please help us to ensure that our deliberations here tonight benefit those who live and work in our extended community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Public notice of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Will the clerk to council please call the roll?
Councilmember Tabernick,
Present.
Councilmember Reeds,
Here.
Councilmember Lawson,
Mark Lawson here.
Councilmember Howard, absent. Councilmember Glover,
Here.
Councilmember Dawson,
Here.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Present.
Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Bartholomew,
Here.
Vice Chair McEllen,
Here.
Chairman Passmont.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I would ask a member of council to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So move. I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the agenda is approved without objection. Item number 5 is the approval of the minutes of February 13th, 2023. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
I'll second that.
Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the minutes will be approved without objection. Our administrator's report. Good evening, Mr. Greenway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of County Council and folks that are watching us at home and those who are joining us in the council chambers this evening. First thing I want to report tonight for the council's knowledge and information is that we, if you recall, some time ago, our zoning board of appeals decision to deny the Bay Point ecotourism item was appealed by the Bay Point representatives. We have resolved that situation, and we expect that appeal to be dismissed within the next few days or weeks. So we have taken care of that particular item based on what we know at this point. If that should change, then I will report back to you all at a later date. But we think that item has been settled. As is my custom, I always introduce 2 or 3 employees to you all just so you can get a better feel for what they do and who they are. I would like to just state once again that even though I am the most visible person or one of the most visible people at Beaufort County, the most important work that gets done here are from people that are behind the scenes that many people never see. And I get an opportunity tonight to introduce three of those folks, or some of you may have seen one of them, but you probably haven't seen the other two. So first of all, I'm going to ask Rachel from our assessor's office to come up. This is Rachel Barrios. She's an exemption specialist with our assessor's office. She has been with us for 7 months. She has quite a background. She processes applications and assists the general public in obtaining a legal residency special assessment exemption. For those of you that do not know that technical term, she reviews 4%, 6% applications, is the layman's terms for that. So she has a very difficult job, and I understand the difficulty of that position. Something unique about her is that she served 21 years as a New York police officer in the New York Police Department, wherein she assisted in the 9/11 efforts during the World Trade Center disaster in 2001. So, you want to say a few words? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service to New York, serving through that difficult time, and thank you for your service here, serving in another difficult role, reviewing 4% and 6% applications. So anyway, do you want to say a few words to council?
No, I just want to thank you for the recognition. It's very much appreciated.
All right, let's give her a round of applause.
Mr. Chairman, does the sheriff's department know she's here?
Sure, no, I doubt.
Oh, okay. NYPD?
Yeah, trying to give away my employees, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, exactly. So, standing to my right is Miss Karen Morris with our Beaufort County EMS division, as if you all could not tell that by the uniform. She is our training officer, infection control officer, and a paramedic. She has been with us 35 years. Wow, that's amazing. I've had, through my career, I had to go through a lot of EMS trainings, CPR training, certifications, and things like that. I usually paid attention about halfway through, but when Karen teaches a class, you pay attention through the entire thing because she's just that good. She keeps it moving. She's very thorough in her explanations, very simple for simple minds like me to understand. She does a great job for us, and I appreciate it a lot. She has risen through the departmental ranks. She started as an EMT technician 35 years ago. Then she rose to the rank of paramedic, and then crew chief paramedic. Around 2014, she transitioned to the role of training officer. She is responsible for maintaining training and certifications for over 80 nationally registered medical personnel. She also serves as the infection control officer, working to update personnel on infectious disease, while also monitoring possible personnel exposure to communicable diseases. In addition to her normal daily work duties, Karen serves as the Low Country representative for the Board of Directors for the South Carolina EMS Association, and was recently appointed to the Regional Trauma Advisory Council. And for those that like acronyms, the RTAC. In her off time, you can find Karen and her husband, Kelly Stewart, traveling to Disney World or Dollywood. They also enjoy spending time in the mountains with family. Thank you for your service. You want to say a few words?
I would like to thank y'all very much for the recognition, but what I would really like to say is all those people on that back wall back there wearing those uniforms, they're the ones that are on the trucks every day. And if you've never, and I hope you've been fortunate enough not to need to call 911 and need EMS, but if you ever have, then you know what a wonderful EMS system we have in Beaufort County. They work a 24-hour shift. So at 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning, you're going to get that same paramedic. Their education is difficult. It's a lot of training that they have to have. Everyone there works very, very hard. We have a lot of support from Mr. Eric Greenway. He is very knowledgeable in what we do and has taken the time to find out what we need and be supportive in that. So we're fortunate to have the EMS system that we have. And I thank y'all very much for the chance to be recognized.
Let's give her a round of applause. I will have to say that, of course, my experience with EMS was very limited before I took this role. We do have a strong team. They treat each other as family. They act as a family. They support each other, as you can see here this evening, by coming and supporting folks when they're recognized. And I greatly appreciate their work in the team atmosphere of that department. Our final employee this evening, I do not think is with us tonight. But his name is Joey Joseph. He works with our Beaufort County Detention Center. He's a Lance Corporal. He's been with us for 5 years. There the handsome young man is, right there. Lance Corporal Joseph is responsible for the care, custody, and control of inmates at the detention center. He monitors high-risk or special needs inmates and inmates in crisis situation. He observes physical, medical, and mental health conditions of inmates and ensures that they get the proper care. In addition to all of that, he patrols the housing units, does the inspections that are required, looking for contraband, and doing the documentation necessary, and also controlling physically combative inmates. Lance Corporal Joseph was born in Haiti and became a naturalized citizen in 2008. That's amazing. Lance Corporal Joseph received an associate's degree in 2004, a bachelor's degree in criminal justice in 2008 from Everest University, and is currently working towards obtaining a master's degree in criminal justice. In 2017, he began his correctional career with the Beaufort County Detention Center. He quickly elevated to the ranks of PFC in 2018, Employee of the Quarter in 2019, Employee of the Year in 2020, and was promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal in that same year. He is very compassionate and dedicated and always there to lend a hand to his fellow man. He volunteers to work extra shift if an officer was unable to do so. And he commutes to us from over in Georgia. That is amazing. Wow. He is something unique about him, and that we all should aspire to. He is a devout Christian and one of the founders of and pastor of a Christian church in Savannah, Georgia. So let's give him a round of applause. He does a very important role for us. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are at our first citizens' comment, which is a 15-minute period in which any member of the audience can address county council on agenda items that are on tonight's agenda for action. And I do have 3 individuals who would like to talk about those agenda items. I will call you one at a time. Please address the council in general. You will have 3 minutes for your particular presentation. The first individual is Meg James, who wishes to speak about items 2 and 12.
They are on the consent agenda.
They are.
Okay. I'm Meg James. I am the Executive Officer for the local Home Builders Association. We represent all of Beaufort, Hampton, and Jasper counties, as well as over 500 building industry professional firms. And I'm here to encourage you to take 2 items off of your consent agenda for further discussion and clarification. The first is item number 12. It's second reading on impact fees. I simply ask that you confirm with county staff that all of the municipalities have in fact signed their IGAs. It is my understanding that neither the town of Bluffton nor the town of Hilton Head have. And while we don't take issue with the fee schedules, I would just be concerned about what that process would look like if it's passed without the IGAs in place, with there being confusion as to who's going to assess the fees in Bluffton and Hilton Head and where they pay them, and that prolonging the permit process. So just a clarification there. The second is agenda item number 2. It's a text amendment to the Community Development Code, section 5.11.90D, penalty for clear cutting. I totally understand and relate to the reasoning behind it. I simply, again, ask you to confirm with staff that the way it's written doesn't cause any unnecessary burden to individual property and lot owners. I think that there's just still some confusion about the language with the 25% of any given parcel versus 5 acres. I've had great conversations with Eric and Mark, and I think that I get it, but I think that there's just still some confusion, so I want to make sure the language is clear. I appreciate y'all doing that. Finally, I am eager to be helpful and act as a liaison between industry, experts, and county staff to assist in the writing of ordinances to make sure it is something that you can confidently approve of on behalf of your constituents. I know often you as leaders find your hands tied because of previous leadership decisions, and I believe it is your desire to do everything in your power to set future leadership up for success. I simply want to be helpful and a part of the conversation to assist you in these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. The next individual is Alan Patterson. You will have 3 minutes, Mr. Patterson.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm going to address item number 2, the text amendment for clear cutting. I understand why we have the tree ordinance and why we're doing this. I am appalled when I see people clear cut land and then try to play the system. And I've fought for trees and development here for years and years and been involved with tree ordinances on Ladies Island. I support what you're doing. I just think we need to clarify the tree ordinance a little bit, and I mean, this clear cutting ordinance, so we can clear the lots on our buffers and get our septic tank permits in. I'm a builder, I'm a developer, I have a dirt pit, I had to get a mining permit, took years. I had to go to Army Corps of Engineer. I know what it takes when you have to go through that process. I'm good with it. I'm for protecting what we have here in Beaufort. But we don't want to put barriers in front of housing and developments. And when I go to build somebody a house, I don't want to have to say, well, it'll be 2 years, we got to get a forester in here. I want to make sure that the amendment actually addresses what we're trying to correct and not have unintended consequences. Sometimes we have had when we push these things through. I'd ask council to sit here and look at it, and like York's questions at the other meeting and stuff, to make sure that we're not hurting people that own some land and want to build a house on it, and or cost builders and homeowners extra money. And I know there's some confusion about what 25% of cleared property is, but I know once y'all dig into it and take a moment to review it, that we can get to the bottom of it and clarify it, so there's no confusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Walter Oliver.
Good afternoon, Walter Oliver. I'm from Grace Hill. A little bit about myself, if people know who I'm talking. I've been in Beaufort 36 years. I've been bush hogging, understorying for 33 of them, 36 years. And I'm very concerned about Agenda 2 also with the wording of it. There's a lot of confusion on the size trees that we can cut and the percentage that we cut. And how that gets confusion is it changes. So if you read it one way and then it says it doesn't apply to the homeowner, anybody below 5 acres, everybody's happy with that. But as soon as somebody says they want to put a septic tank permit on that property, it changes it to now they have to fall into development. And when they fall into development, it opens up a whole different scenario for them. They have to get a tree and topo, they have to get a survey, they have to get a design plan of what they're gonna do with their property. So zoning can give them a permit, they have to know what they're doing. And for an individual that received a piece of property, whether they bought it, they inherited it, and it could be just a small lot, and that's the most valuable thing that they have in their life, is that lot. That's their prized possession. That lot doesn't mean anything if they can't get a DHAC permit for a septic tank. Once they get that permit, doesn't mean they're gonna develop it. It just puts a star on their paper that says that that lot is valued to them. At that point, if they wanna develop that lot, then they could take it at that point and go to zoning and follow all the steps for a zoning permit. Prior to that, all it is saying that this lot is doing their due diligence to sell that lot to somebody that's buying that lot, to say that this lot passes DHAC inspection. Now, DHAC requires it to get underbrushed. So their requirements, if you look up their order, says that we need 150 feet by 150 feet and an exit to get into that place. That's what they require. It sounds pretty simple and straightforward and cut, but when DHAC is about 3 months out for them to check sometimes longer than that. When they make it out to a property, they'll get out to the property and they'll go test that 150 foot for a septic tank permit where they propose the homeowner wants it. They said, you know what, the soil's not good enough here. The homeowner says, what about right there in that corner of that lot there? They say, you clear that lot and we'll come back in 3 months because that's how booked up we are. So it delays the process over and over again. I do not believe that getting a septic tank permit on your property requires you to get a zoning permit or put you in a development position. A septic tank permit does not mean you're developing the property. All it is just certifying that lot.
30 seconds.
I knew I'd get buzzed, but there's a lot more that I have to say. I have 33 years of experience. I'm a retired Marine with 22 years. I'm willing to open myself up to the council. Anytime we'll sit down and talk about all the issues that are out there, but we're hurting the individuals that don't have money in Beaufort County, with some of these laws that we're passing. Thank you very much.
Lynn Greeley.
Yeah, I have a limited power of attorney, and I want to give my 3 minutes to Skip Hoagland.
No, we do not accept power of attorney. If you wish to address us, you may address us. If Mr. Hoagland wants to address us about a specific item on the agenda, he may come forward. If not, when you want to come forward, Mr. Hoagland, the second one to address us on a non-agenda item, that's fine too.
It's the power of attorney. If you can show me a law that makes a power of attorney illegal for her to give me her 3 minutes, show it to me, and I'll sit down. If you don't have that.
Well, thank you very much. Please sit
I want
down.
to make her speech and my speech, and I want to make an agenda speech. So I want to make 3 speeches. So let's assume that you can give a power of attorney to pull the plug on somebody's deathbed. You might have laryngitis. And
You
I
are
wanna know
out.
why you're turning a power of attorney down. I want to know that.
Because
Because why?
I can. These are my rules, not your
You are
rules.
not the judge and the jury.
Yes,
You're
I
a-
am.
You're an elected official who serve all of us in this room. How dare you violate a power of attorney?
Do you wish to speak to council about an agenda item?
I'm gonna make this woman's speech, and I'm gonna make my speech. And if you can show me a law,
What,
then I'll stand
what
down.
item do you wish to talk about?
I'm gonna talk about the number 12 and number 13, and then I'm gonna make a general
You have
comment.
3 minutes.
No, I'm gonna make her speech, and then I'm gonna make my
You have
speech.
3 minutes.
To do what?
Do you understand
To make
that?
her speech or to make my speech?
I don't care whose speech you're making.
I'm gonna
You
make
have
her
3 minutes.
speech, and then I'm gonna make my speech. So I have 2 speeches to make right now on the agenda.
You have 3 minutes to do it.
No, I have 6 minutes.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you
Can you
don't.
show me a law that says I can't?
Our agenda
You're not
says,
the judge and the jury. I don't care what, listen, I don't care how things have been for 50 years.
I will recess the meeting.
Yeah, please do that, and go talk to the lawyers and powwow with the lawyers, and
We
then
are
come
in
back out here.
recess.
But you're not gonna violate a South Carolina POA.
Yes, we're going to move on at this point in time. Is there a member of council who wishes to? Yes, ma'am.
May I have my 3 minutes then, if you're not going to let me?
You're going to speak on, there's 3 minutes left in the public session. You're speaking on which agenda item?
The A-tax, the IRS 501c.
Which agenda item is that?
I don't know the exact agenda item. I wasn't putting that down.
Are you speaking
12 and
on number
13, I
12?
think. Yeah, 12.
12? Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes.
What is an IRS 501c chamber organization? It is a business association organized to promote business, members only, and not run a business like a DMO, Destination Management Organization, if people don't know what that is. It can't make a profit for the employees of the chamber, no pay for play, no favoritism, or commingle laundry tax funds from illicit advertising profits, then bury them under the high salaries and benefits to chamber employees to show no profit on year-end tax returns. It is not possible for Bill Miles to pay himself $500,000 plus per year from a legally operated chamber and a $2 million home on Hilton Head. This disqualifies the chamber as a nonprofit organization exempt from paying taxes. They cannot be in any business whatsoever normally carried on by a for-profit tax-paying company, or they lose their nonprofit status and must pay the IRS UBIT, unrelated business income tax, or be considered a tax default and forced to pay all their own. If criminal activity is discovered, arrest and convictions would surely follow. Palm Beach, A-tax DMO resulted in prison. The IRS defines a business league as an association of people with a shared business interest. The league must promote the common interest of the members, must not be in the business for profit, and must not provide services or individuals the way for-profit business does, or use high salaries, perks, benefits, lavish entertainment, bonuses, etc., to hide illicit profits. Chambers or commerce promote the economic interest of just business members in a given area, such as cities like Hilton Head, Beaufort, Bluffton, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, etc. Fact is, Hilton Head Chamber is an illegal operation operating as a for-profit disguised as a nonprofit to trick the IRS and our community. And tax-exempt chamber organizations in the IRS C6 category have to make information public. This includes its last 3 tax returns public. If asked for copies, the chamber group has to provide them free. If tax-funded, this detailed use of tax money must be provided to taxpayers as well as to council who issues these taxes and subject to the taxpayer FOIA laws. In any state agency does not comply to the taxpayer FOIA, it could result in litigation and paying the taxpayers' legal fees. Hilton Head Beaufort councils are in FOIA violation and must comply.
Okay, that ends the citizen comments. We are at the committee reports. Is there anyone who wishes to make a report at this time?
Mr. Chairman, if
Okay.
I would like to, if,
Go ahead, Mr. Reeds.
last week, Thursday, there was a meeting, I'm on the airport board, and Beaufort Executive Airport, known as Frogmore, completely renovated inside and out, and they're looking at the end of April having a chamber event, open house with a ribbon cutting, and they're gonna invite us, and the public to be there as well. The Hilton Head Airport, for the first time in their history, they're gonna be in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the airport, whatever that's gonna be. The terminal update on the construction, the first part of March, they're gonna put a bid out. It's gonna take them about 6 weeks to get all that back, and then they'll decide on how they're gonna start reconstruction there. The airport board right now has 2 vacancies, and they're looking for people to apply. So if you have experience, people listening as well, if you have experience with being a pilot or anything, check out our website and apply for a position there. Mr. Chairman, that's it for now.
Thank you. Any other member?
I
Ms. Tucker.
attended the County Transportation Committee retreat. It was a 3-hour retreat. It was Transportation Committee. It was very interesting, and as Jared spoke to us in the last session, they're very knowledgeable people on that committee, very dedicated,
and they had SCDOT there to do a project review. And two of the items that are on tonight's agenda come from that retreat. I learned a lot about road treatment and road preservation, more than I ever knew, but it's very important when we have so many miles of roads, can't remember, but this is a big investment in our county. So that was last Wednesday.
Any others? Mr. Lawson?
Yes, from the consent agenda and the finance committee, we have a third reading for obligation bonds for Bluffton Fire District. We have multiple appointments of folks. We also have the second reading of an ordinance for text amendment to Beaufort County Code of Ordinances. And Ms. James, we will get you those answers regarding the agreements with the towns and cities before our next meeting. This is the second reading. And then we also have the second reading of an ordinance, county administrator to execute necessary documents to accept a grant perpetual easement for public use. And also I want to first say that I should have pulled item number 2 from the agenda, which I did not. It's too late now to pull that, so it's going to pass as a consent agenda. However, I also want to get information regarding what the issues are. I've talked to Steve Andrews from Andrews Surveying, and also this gentleman here regarding the bush hogging, to see what those issues are, to see why there is concern, and hopefully that has all been expelled out. And if not, we will then have to add another text amendment to this text amendment if necessary, because again, went through committee, and then 3 readings. This will be our third reading before some of these issues came up. So again, we'd be happy to look at that and look forward to finding out if there are things that is either just misinformation or things that we still need to address.
Mr. Chairman, question.
Yes.
If we had a supermajority, could we postpone that consent agenda item to our next county council meeting?
No, you would have to defeat the consent agenda to do that. The entire consent agenda, because the consent agenda is all of those items.
We'd recommend for you all to wait until we get to the consent agenda and let staff explain to you what the real issues are. The ordinance in question does not address bush hogging. If people are bush hogging their property, this ordinance will not regulate that. If they are removing trees from a piece of property, the ordinance will regulate that. The ordinance has always regulated that, and will continue to regulate that.
So it's clarification of what is actually in the ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. Seeing no other action, we are now at the consent agenda. And I would ask a member of council to make a motion to approve the consent agenda based upon the information that you just heard.
Mr. Chairman,
Well, that was my same concern. I thought I'd be able to remove it at the consent agenda portion for number 2. Removing that, but like I said, as long as we're getting clarification and explaining to everybody what's going on, I think we'll be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some confusion on that, and I've spoken to several people about it. But item number 2.
Yeah, so basically it boils down to the definition of underbrushing and what constitutes that. I get the item about a DHEC with a septic tank permit, fully understand that. But if you're going to go out and clear a piece of property and remove trees, all the ordinance simply requires someone to do is not only talk to DHEC, which is a state agency. They do not care about local tree ordinances or anything. They are just going to give people the procedures that they need in order to go out and do the proper perk test on the piece of property and get into the property. If trees are going to be cut down of any size, shape, or form for folks, then all they need to do is pick up the phone and call the planning and zoning department and say, this is what I'm doing. Do I need a permit to do this work? And if they're told yes, then they should come and get a permit from the planning and zoning department to show what they're going to be clearing, so we can make sure for the property owner's sake that the person doing the work is not going to put that property owner in jeopardy, whereby they might be coming here from out of state. And I've dealt with this as the planning director on 3 or 4 occasions when I was the planning director. Had people coming in from out of state. They hire a local guy or someone from Jasper County to go out and do the work on their property. That person goes too far, and then they get hit with something, a planning staff member, a code enforcement officer telling them, you can't build anything on your property for 2, 3, 5 years. you can't build your dream house. And they've probably sold their house where they're from and trying to get here quickly. So that's simply what the ordinance requires. We're not regulating bush hogging. We do not care about bush hogging unless they are doing something that's going to grind up the soil and expose the dirt. And then that's going to kick in potential stormwater regulations, because you cannot have unstabilized soil on a piece of property for any reason in the state of South Carolina. So that's basically it.
And, Mr. Chairman, just one more question stemming from that. As far as the equipment used on those particular sites, is there a separate ordinance that governs that?
No,
I
I
heard
mean,
that there was some confusion regarding.
there is no ordinance that governs what kind of equipment you can use. You know, if folks are going out and, you know, some of these folks, some of the Bobcats have a front end brush cutter on it that just grinds up underbrush, bushes, shrubs, things like that. That's not a violation of the ordinance. If they're gonna take a bulldozer in there, or a stump grinder, or a machine that's gonna cut the trees off at the base and then lay them over and grind up the stumps down to the ground, that could potentially be a violation that requires a permit.
If it's over 8 inches.
Right.
Is that-
Yes.
Okay.
If it's over 8 inches, am I correct? 8 inches and below, saplings, you can take that off the
Yes.
property without a permit.
That's correct.
Right.
So those people who come down here and they buy a piece of property or inherit a piece of property, and they
Yeah.
want to build a house there, over time.
We're good. Thank you.
We're good. We know what we're doing.
Okay, but I wanted some clarification, if that was okay.
You got the clarification.
that clarification. You can see me outside of the meeting and we'll clarify it for you, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so I need a motion and second.
Right, it is motion already?
No, hasn't
Oh,
been.
okay, yeah, let me just ask a quick question, Mr. Greenway and Mr. Merchant. There's the ordinance that we have and the process for me putting up a house. Is the ordinance allowing that process to take place, which would include what needs to happen with DHEC and me trying to get a house put up?
Okay. Well, one thing I just
Walk through
wanted
that
to,
for me. Okay.
one thing I wanted to clear up, we
And
had,
let me make sure I say this too. What
and you're
we're
talking about
proposing-
underbrushing an area so they
Right.
could come in and test the soil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we're proposing here today has nothing to do with that, because what I see this here is really for silviculture, ordinance protecting forestry. And if a landowner wants to continue silviculture, they can do clear cutting, they can do whatever in harvesting their timber. But if somebody wants to develop, then this ordinance protects that from happening over a 5-year period of time. I
Yeah.
do understand what we're voting on, but as far as the public and far as I am concerned, I want to make sure I can build my house, and making sure the ordinance that we have will allow that to happen with not a whole lot of confusion. So if you could walk through that for me, I sure would appreciate it.
Okay. One thing I wanted to mention, we have two sections of the ordinance that deal with clear cutting prior to development. This specifically applies to lots that are 5 acres or greater. So it's already targeted to be geared towards forestry and silviculture. We have another section of the code that deals with removal of trees prior to development without a permit. That's not what we're amending. That's in the ordinance already, and neither this ordinance nor that regulate bush hogging. So in order to underbrush so that DHEC can come out, test the soil, that's not something that this ordinance regulates.
So it doesn't prohibit,
As long as they're not removing trees greater than 8-inch
inches.
caliper or greater.
okay.
Joe?
Okay, yes.
So again, just to clarify, Mr. Merchant, so this ordinance is leaving everything the same except for, this applies to parcels that are 5 acres or greater.
Yes.
And then even at the end, when it says if, let me see, for purposes section, or if less than 25%. So everything that's less than 5 acres is still under the old existing code? There's no changes to anything that's less than 5 acres?
That's correct.
Correct. That 25% would be 25% of a 5 acre or greater parcel.
Right.
That 25%
So,
clear.
so again, what we're doing is we're just adding this, which gives us more teeth when it comes to parcels that are 5 acres and larger.
Correct.
And all the bush hogging and those things are still exactly the same as they were before this ordinance went into effect.
Yeah, there's no change in ordinance nor policy regarding bush hogging.
Okay.
And this is something that the planning commission recommends strengthening for their purposes, right?
Yeah, and this is actually coming from the
recommendation.
comprehensive plan. It was a recommendation to take a look at the state requirements for silviculture and make sure that we're doing everything we can locally. And that's what these amendments are designed to do.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
So, that means the majority of residential property in Beaufort County, very few are over 5 acres when you look at the grand scheme of properties. This ordinance affects them zero.
No, yeah, correct, it would not
So for
affect
our
them.
everyday residential property in Beaufort County, there are no changes to their ordinances, what they're allowed and not allowed to do on that property.
Correct.
So for public clarification, then if I have, say, a half acre or acre of land and I want to build a home on there, and I got to get the property perk first before DEC would give me a permit to build a home. So the first order of business is to contact the county and get a zoning permit. Is that correct?
You can do underbrushing on the property. There's nothing that would prevent you from underbrushing the property, except for in the river buffer. That's an entirely different thing. But you could underbrush your property to identify the area of, where the septic tank and drain field could be located.
All right, so if I got a half acre and I want to underbrush it to put a septic tank on there, then can I underbrush the whole half acre?
Yes.
Or what percentage can I?
Brush the entire half acre.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does not require a permit, as long as it's not on the river.
And as long as it's over 8 inches under, yeah.
As long as the trees are under 8 inches.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I got that.
Yeah.
I got that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So now I need a motion for the consent agenda, please.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Glover,
Yes, sir.
thank you. I need a second.
Okay.
Mr. Cunningham. Duly motioned and seconded. This will be done without objection.
Any discussion?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess, not a question, it's a statement during the discussion page. I would like to say, we had a public hearing on this, and it's unfortunate that these comments did not come up at that public hearing. But it seems to me there's still some confusion surrounding this ordinance. And I'm encouraged by Mr. Lawson's promise that he will continue to look into this matter. And if there is further action that is necessary to correct the misunderstanding, he will take that action at the appropriate time, even after the third reading that passes this ordinance. Mr. Lawson will be held to his word, of course, which is always good. And I have no doubt that any confusion will be alleviated. Even if this does pass tonight in the consent agenda, I don't think it's a dead issue until all the confusion has been eliminated. And I believe Mr. Lawson will take care of that matter. So I will support the passing of this consent agenda with the understanding that if this is still a confused issue, that the confusion will be eliminated. Thank you.
Thank you for that vote of support, Mr. McCallum. I appreciate that.
This will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Consent agenda is approved. Item number 10 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents and provide funding for the purchase of real property located at 1230 North Ocoee Highway, commonly known as the Cooler Tract, for the purposes of consolidating county sheriff facilities and operations to this property and for other first responder facilities as desired.
So
A
moved, Mr.
motion.
Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brown makes the second. Duly motioned and second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, this will be approved without objection. Item number 11 is the first reading of an ordinance to amend the Beaufort County Ordinance 2022/33 for the fiscal year 2022-23 Beaufort County budget. Provide for additional appropriations to pay for the Port Royal Library, transferring funding from the general fund to the capital improvement fund for the bathrooms at the Bruce Edgerly Field in Burton Wells, the use of funds to complete the EMS/firehouse in Bluffton, funding of the planning and design work for the USCB Convocation Center facility, funding for a pathway at the Disability and Special Needs Building, funding for repairs and replacements of CIP, additional funding to the Island Recreation Center, funding of a cost of living adjustment, suspend the current year transfer from the Hospitality Tax Fund to the General Fund, and funding of Dirt Road Contract 54 and other matters related thereto. A motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Tabernick makes the motion.
I'll second it, but I have a question.
Discussion. Mr. Glover.
Could, I don't know, Jared, who, yeah, you, sorry. Talk about the USC convocation.
So as you all know, the USCB Convocation Center has received partial funding through a variety of sources. They are trying to raise the remainder of the funds to complete the funding for carrying that out. And they have asked the county to assist with them in the amount of $300,000 so that they can go ahead and do the design of that facility so that they can actually show potential funders what they will be contributing money to and how that will actually look.
Right, and that came through committee, right?
It did, yes.
Yeah, I remember the 300,000.
Came through Finance Committee,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mr. Cunningham.
Question, just because USC was brought up, and one of the things we talked about in our retreat, we've talked briefly about some type of center to hold, public events here,
Right.
like an indoor one, like sort of like how Savannah has something along those lines, Charleston does. When I was at USCB that last year, they originally talked about putting in a gym.
That's what this will be.
And so, is this something we can partner with to use on the public use as well? To
It will
maybe
be.
two birds, one stone?
It will be.
Okay.
That's already in the agreement. This is going to be a place where high schools can hold their graduations in addition to the USCB basketball team that just received Division I NCAA status can play their games as well.
What about larger than that, like concerts or anything along those lines? Is that something that could be done, or is it not big enough for that?
That's something I have to look into. I don't know how big the facility is going to be from a square footage standpoint, how many people it'll accommodate and things like that, but it's going to be an arena size, similar probably if you've ever seen the College of Charleston play basketball in the TD Arena, it's probably going to be that type of a venue.
Thank you.
Any other questions? This will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item number 12 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating funds from the state 2% accommodations tax fund and other matters related thereto. A motion, please.
Make that motion.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lawson made the motion, Mr. Cunningham made the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So just want a couple of things that we talked about in the retreat. We're gonna now require accounting for all of these, correct?
Yes.
Making sure moving forward. And the other thing is, no entity was awarded over their original asking, correct?
Correct.
And those other funds are gonna be kept in a separate account until next year, or how's
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yes.
I think that's it. Got
Okay,
it.
that answers your question?
Yep, just wanna make
Excellent.
sure.
Yep. Okay, any other questions? Very good questions. No other questions? This will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item number 13 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating funds from the local accommodations tax and local hospitality tax funds and other matters related thereto. Motion, please.
So move.
Mr. Dawson makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. Glover makes the second, duly motioned and second. Any discussion about this item?
Same
Same question, same answer.
All right,
answer.
county's gonna be required.
Absolutely.
And in addition to that, we're going to require anyone receiving our funding through this particular ordinance that they also have to acknowledge the sponsorship of Beaufort County on whatever material they put out during their event.
Gotcha, thank you.
Excellent. Good questions again. Any other questions? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item 14 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to purchase and to fund the purchase of real property located at 333 and 335 Buckwalter Parkway.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Chairman.
You were louder than Tab, so
You can
you
have
will
it.
get that, Mr. McKellen.
Well, I don't want to overpower her. I defer to her.
Okay, duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion on this item?
Just a little brief, if we could. Do we have anybody to brief us on it? I mean, like, I know we talked about it a little bit, but just inform everybody else, because it is a sizable purchase, what our ultimate goal is.
Yeah, I was contacted by one of the council members a few weeks ago regarding the United Methodist Church planning to dispose of 10 acres of property that they have on the Buckwalter Parkway near the Lutheran Church, I believe it is.
Yes.
It's right beside
Right
that.
across the street from the Publix.
It's right across the street from Publix and Kroger and the Don Ryan Center. So they asked us to look into potential purchase of that. We contacted the church, made our interest known. Because we were able to do a quick sale, they agreed, and because we were going to buy the property for affordable housing down the road, they agreed to a reduced price, and that's where we are right now. So this will give me authorization to execute the paperwork to continue on with that purchase.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense in that location. The amount of work that is over there with all those stores, the amount of growth that's happening at Washington Square from that, the proximity to 170 and the Bluffton Parkway. Our ultimate goal, at least mine is, I'll speak for myself, isn't necessarily rentals. It is people to be able to purchase, first-time home buyers. So that not only are they investing in themselves, but they're benefiting from the sale of that property. I hope after we get done with this transaction, when we start putting forward ideas and our thought process behind it, that's when we'll bring it to the public for consideration, their thoughts behind it. I plan on holding a town hall after we get more clarity of when we get that direction, since it is right there in the middle of my district, just to continue to keep the public informed on it.
Mr. Passman?
Yes.
Yeah, and just to add to what Mr. Cunningham has said, is that right now, the only thing we're doing is purchasing the property.
Correct.
And then all the decisions that come along with that of how that's done will be made public, and how we make our decisions will be made public. And if the property is to be developed, well, then that will also then go to an RFP or be put out for public notice. It's not like the county is trying to build houses. That's something we're not good at, we're not going to try to do. But this whole process will be open, and again, that is our ultimate goal, is once we have secured the property, as Mr. Cunningham said, have town hall meetings that we can get out there and get public input from.
Excellent. Any other
Chairman,
questions?
just, I appreciate, and this is Mr. Cunningham's district, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about this, and so I'm supporting it. Is there, and I don't go Bluffton that often. I try not to.
Gotta come visit at some point. I come out here every Monday to see you.
No, well, it's just too much traffic for me and stuff, that's all.
Traffic, you hear
I'm a
that,
country
Jared?
boy, I like the slow life and stuff. Is there a pathway along the Buckwalter?
There is a pathway. It's actually the pathway that I originally talked about for golf cart access, which, you know, I plan to explore again in the future, especially now that we are adding more development, to lessen that traffic that is keeping you away from Bluffton, so you can come visit us.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
He doesn't want to go on 170.
That's more traffic, you invite him over.
Listen, I'd never
All
tell
right.
people no.
Any
Our doors
other
are open.
discussion? This will be passed without objection, and I see no objections. Our final item, item 15, is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to purchase and to fund the purchase of a portion of real property located at 1505 Salem Road.
Mr. Chairman, I motion.
Mr. Glover,
I'll second that.
Mr. Reeds.
And I do that on behalf of Mrs. Alice Howard.
Yep.
Because I think this is her district, and I think she would love to support this here.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can we get a little bit of a background on this?
Sure.
Once again, given the size of the purchase on this?
Yes.
A little bit of explanation? Absolutely.
Well, you know, it's helpful for the public to hear because we heard it in our committee, but they don't know this.
Mr. Edmondson, how are you?
Good evening. How are you guys
Very
doing?
good.
This is, we are required by state law to provide space for certain agencies and entities. South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, DHEC, and the Health Department are one of those agencies. And as we have been moving forward with affordable housing downtown where they're currently located, that necessitates the relocation of that entity. We found the owner of 1505 Salem Road interested in selling a portion of an old grocery store. And in addition, finishing it, and we would buy a finished product on a build-to-suit basis. Again, better than any price that we could touch.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Cunningham.
just to touch on this one, and again with the other one, you know, we've heard people talk about it for years before I got on council, before a lot of you guys were on council, talking about affordable housing and workforce housing, and let's be real, people blew smoke for years about it. But our staff has done a hell of a job over the past 2 years to actually get that ball rolling. And it's little by little, and some of it's gonna be a little bit of trial and error, because nobody has a way to fix it all. But I am excited to see that, you know, staff is bringing us stuff, they're finding it, they're working hard to find the opportunities for us, and the council's been supportive to actually do the things that we said we were gonna do. And people before us have said they were gonna do with workforce housing. So it's a start, both of these are. So I'm just saying I'm excited to see that we're actually fulfilling a lot of our promises that probably every single one of us ran for on a campaign.
I agree, Logan.
Yes, we
I'm excited as well.
Okay, no further discussion. This will be passed without objection, and I see no objection. All right, that takes care of the business. We are now at our second citizens' comment. Members of the audience who have stayed and want to now present to us. I have a few of them. Mr. Hamilton, you want to speak to us? We do allow 3 minutes per person, up to 15 minutes. Good evening, Mr. Hamilton.
Good evening. Councilman, Chairman, thank you for having me today. I want to talk to you about an off-agenda item and something that I take kind of personally, and want to make sure that we understand how important it is that I share with you that preserving and protecting Gullah property is deeply in my heart, as I'm deeply rooted in that. I believe that this is something that the entire state should be doing, because this is something that I believe carries a lot of dignity for our community. Now, Pine Island is one that I believe has some sensitivity to it, and I want to make sure that, you know, I respect this community because I have family members there, and I have friends like Mr. Glover there, and there are many other friends. But we have a team that I work with that also have that same sensitivity. They feel like the community has to have a voice. We haven't been open enough to give that community the voice that we want, but we have spoken with a lot of prominent community leaders. At least that's what we thought. And the reason why I'm still a part of this is because those community leaders and prominent community leaders gave me the impression that this was something that they wanted to hear more of and felt like there was room for us to communicate. And I think we haven't gotten the opportunity yet to see where we have some likeness. This development is not by all means a done deal for us having its plan figured out, because we want to hear from the community. We want to make sure that this community is a part of the process. It's important that the community is a part of the process. I wouldn't be involved if they didn't give the community their voice, okay? This developer has done some things that I have never seen in my leadership position, is to say, we want to give back to the community, or we want to be a part of the community. So when opportunity presents itself, and I hope it does soon, I think we need to have an open dialogue with the community so we can find how we can be on the same page at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Grant McClure?
Hello, my name is Grant McClure. I work for the Coastal Conservation League. This evening, I'm going to be presenting a letter that I received from Miss Margaret Washington. She's professor at Cornell University, and because she is in Ithaca, New York, she's asked me to provide these comments to you all this evening. I was deeply saddened and concerned to hear of recent efforts to change the zoning policy that forbids golf courses, gated communities, and resorts on St. Helena. I first traveled to the South Carolina Sea Island in 1976 as a University of California graduate student, writing a dissertation on Gullah people during their enslavement. My South Carolina research took me to Charleston, Beaufort, St. Helena, and the archives at the University of South Carolina in Columbia. The highlight of that fascinating intellectual and cultural discovery was St. Helena Island. Although I was disappointed at first that nearly all of the Penn School information I came to research have been transferred to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. My initial disappointment about the Penn School papers removal was soon assuaged. Indeed, I believe it was God's plan. I went to St. Helena Island with secondary knowledge about the people. After 3 weeks, I had firsthand sense of Gullah culture, something no library could provide. I interacted with residents and visited a school. I attended services at the Brick Baptist Church, built just before the war by planners who never returned. I listened, straining to understand Gullah, especially the senior woman sitting in the back of the church, softly speaking in Gullah after Sunday school and before morning worship. I roamed the Brick Baptist Cemetery that included plantation owners' headstones, a monument to Penn School founder Laura Town, and the grave of her devoted co-founder Ellen Murray, along with humble graves of island folk. Nothing was more moving than seeing Gullah gravestones decorated with timepieces, seashells, other ornaments treasured and used by departed loved ones, some representing the flash of spirits ascending to heaven. Visiting sites of the Oaks Plantation where Penn School was founded, Coffin's Point, and the views of the marsh at low tide rendered these places much more real than I had read in documents or seen in pictures at Chapel Hill. Thus, the living material Gullah culture on St. Helena Island, brought to life by my Chapel Hill research and grounded by my book, was grounded for my book entitled A Peculiar People, Slave Religion, and Community Culture Among the Gullahs. Mr. Emery Campbell was director of Penn Center when I first went to St. Helena.
30 seconds.
He remains champion of protecting Gullah cultural heritage. I can only reinforce what Mr. Campbell, a native of the region, has emphasized. It is of the utmost importance to maintain the integrity of the cultural heritage of St. Helena Island. Moreover, in addition to colonial, antebellum, postbellum, and early 20th century American historical significance, we must not forget that during the Civil Rights Movement, Penn Center was a significant meeting place for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Grant, can we get a copy of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Arnold Brown? Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Good evening.
You have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Arnold Brown from St. Helena Island. The reason I'm here this afternoon is the leadership of the CPO committee on St. Helena Island that's meeting at the library. They asked me to come here tonight and to kind of update the city council that the group will be seeking to hire its own attorney that would have a fiduciary responsibility to the group. And it's not necessarily to protect them from personal property losses or anything like that, but it's helped to review the amendment, that's revisions and amendments, and the interpretation of the revised CPO that's going to be written. So that's the purpose of hiring their own, us hiring our own attorney to look out for the interpretation, revisions, and that sort of thing, and to, fight for, but hopefully that won't be an issue. So that's the primary reason I'm here. The second reason is, and I haven't been keeping up to date, the pathway project for the sidewalk that was coming through on MLK, and I must admit that I haven't been keeping up. I don't know what the status of that is. It's been pretty quiet. The third one is, the fourth quarter of last year, I had a visitor that flew in from the Washington, D.C. area. They came to Beaufort on business as well as to, socialize with friends and relatives and that sort of thing. And they flew into Charleston, rented a EV, electrical vehicle, and drove from Charleston to Beaufort, checked in one of the hotels, and drove around for a week. And then when it was time to charge their vehicle, they went to their app went to their app and couldn't find a charging station. And we were supposed to meet for lunch on Saturday, and that got pushed back because the vehicle wasn't charged. And I'm thinking I got to drive this person back to Charleston, which I didn't want to do. But if I would ask the council or whoever's in charge that when new hotels and restaurants and different things are built, maybe require them to put in charging station. Because if it wasn't for Chrysler out there by Lowe's on a Saturday afternoon at 6 o'clock, I would have, he wouldn't have a way back to Charleston. So I would ask that you look into that more charging stations can be added, especially for new businesses and the tourists that's coming here. They're making an assumption that there's going to be a place to charge their vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Deckard?
Have Mr. Greenway distribute these to you?
Sure.
Eric, a copy.
Good evening, Council.
Yes.
Thank you for
3 minutes.
allowing me to speak before you, and I welcome the new members on council also. I had submitted a FOIA request last month for documents involving a private neighborhood group that was seeking to form a special tax district last year, and one of the members of the group was a now former county council person who was a county council person then. And they had done a PowerPoint presentation to their group, and it said, who is providing legal guidance and representation to their group? And the answer was, up to now, guidance has been provided pro bono by the Beaufort County Attorney, which surprised me because, as far as I know, the client is the organization who is the county, and they're not supposed to be giving any private advice to any citizen. It's only confined to the county, and that's Supreme Court 1.13, if anybody wants to look that up. So when I got my FOIA request back, it was full of blacked out documents between members of this neighborhood group and the county attorney's office. And the reason I know it's members of the neighborhood group is because when I pressed the FOIA office, they did redact the addressees, but claimed that they were unable to redact the body of the message. And I would just show all of you what that looked like. Excuse me, it looks like this. Everybody, it looks so my position is, I know that these emails are probably stupid and embarrassing, and, nothing I can do about that. If that's what they contain, that's what they contain. But the redaction of work product is solely confined to actual work product between the client and those who are elected officials or employees, or there are contracts and things like that that are engaged with the client. This was a separate neighborhood group who was looking to form a special tax district, which actually never happened. They actually.
You have 30 seconds.
Yes, they actually stopped and no longer were considering it. So I am asking the county to provide the unredacted documents to me, because this is really a loser issue in terms of litigation, in my opinion, because the Supreme Court speaks very clearly that the organization in question is the county and not any private individual. So I'd like to hear from someone at the county this week. Thank you.
Our final person is Mr. Hoagland. You have 3 minutes.
Before the clock starts, may I please ask for clarification on public comment number 16 and 7. It does not differentiate between agenda only or anything you wish to speak about only. That's very confusing. I also, if you don't mind, before the clock starts, if you please restart it, please show me respect. I was not able to make my POA. I gave in, and I want you to know that Sheriff Tanner and I had a conversation, and we're gonna, wait a minute.
Please.
I don't do that to you, so wait a minute.
3 minutes.
Just wait a minute. I'm not doing 3 minutes. I'm gonna start the clock at 3 minutes. I'm explaining something to you, that we're gonna differentiate between the law on POA and local rules. And, so anyway, so now I'm gonna read my 3 minutes, if you'll please start the clock back.
Read, please.
No, please
Go
start
ahead.
the clock
Read.
back. I don't wanna
I'm
be- I don't
keeping
wanna
the
be
time.
interrupted with the buzzer. Please start the clock back.
I'm keeping the time. When I tell
I'm
you
asking
you're
you to
done,
give me my 3
you are
minutes.
done. So please read what you're going to
I'm asking you to give me
read.
my 3 minutes. I asked you about the public comment that was confusing.
Mr. Hoagland,
and you didn't answer.
do you
Mr.
wish to
President,
have 3 minutes?
I'm trying to help you. Tell me
No,
that the
don't-
public
you're not
comments are
helping me.
confusing. Tom, they both say the same thing. You don't know when you can speak or who can speak or how you can speak, and I want you all to look at those public comments. Look at the difference. Now, if you just start the clock and let me finish, please.
No.
Why don't you take a vote of the council and see if they will allow me to finish my
No.
3 minutes?
No. No.
Okay, well then-
This is not your meeting. This is
No,
our
no,
meeting.
No, this is our meeting. This is the taxpayers' meeting, expecting you to respect the taxpayers who elected you. You're a public servant. We
Would
don't
you
work
just
for
read
you.
what you're gonna say,
You work
please?
for us. You've got it confused, Mr. Passman. You got it backwards. Now, I'm gonna start my 3 minutes if you.
Go ahead! Just
No,
read
start
it!
the clock over.
Dear God
Start the
Almighty!
clock. Start the clock. I don't
This
wanna be
is
interrupted.
not your meeting.
It's-
Do you understand
Mr.
that?
Passman, I want my 3 minutes. If you please.
Do you want to read it while we're not here? Because I can just adjourn the meeting?
Well, go ahead and adjourn it. Walk
Okay.
out.
Is there any further
I'll
action
make
to
it
be
when
taken?
you come back in.
He's got 50.
Do whatever you want.
Seeing
If you want
none,
to disrespect, go
we are
ahead.
now adjourned.
Okay.